Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're jumping into a really fascinating car, one that's often kind of misunderstood. The second-gen Mazda RX-7, the FC3S. We're going to explore why it got this rep as the thinking man's tudge weapon, perfect for those mountain passes,
Yeah,
even though originally Mazda was aiming for something more like, well, a Porsche 944. Quite a contrast, right?
exactly. And our mission today really is to unpack that. We'll look at the engineering ideas behind it, that unique rotary engine, obviously, and how it became such a legend culturally. We really want to highlight that paradox you mentioned. Built for one thing, famous for another.
Okay, so let's start there. What was Mazda actually trying to do with the FC? You mentioned the 944. Was that the specific target?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Explicitly. Mazda's directive was clear.
Yeah.
Go after the Porsche 944,
Yeah.
and you see it in the design. It's sleek, very aerodynamic. For the time, they achieved a drag coefficient down near 0.29 on some models. That wasn't just for looks. It showed they were serious about high-speed stability, taking on those European benchmarks.
Right, making a statement. And under the skin, I hear the chassis was a pretty big leap forward, too. What changed there?
Massive changes. They ditched the old live axle from the first-gen RX-7, went to a fully independent rear suspension setup.
Yeah.
Plus, rack and pinion steering, four-wheel disc, brakes, all the good stuff. It really transformed the handling potential. And crucially, that little rotary engine meant they kept the weight distribution almost perfect, like 50.50, which is classic RX-7.
Okay, now here's where I find it gets really interesting. Mazda put in this system, DTSS, Dynamic Tracking Suspension System. What was that about?
Ah, yes, DTSS. Okay, so theoretically, it was a passive rear-wheel steering system. The idea was to enhance stability during, say, high-speed cornering, but also help turn in agility at lower speeds.
Sounds brilliant, right? On paper, maybe. But in practice, especially when you push the car hard towards the limit, it could lead to this unpredictable snap-over steer. The back end could just, well, snap out on you quite suddenly. Not ideal.
So not exactly the stability they were aiming for. Then. Not quite. And what's fascinating is what the enthusiasts did. They figured it out pretty quickly. People developed these things called DTSS eliminator bushings, basically solid replacements to lock out the system's movement entirely.
They removed it.
Yeah, they removed its effect.
Yeah.
And by doing that, they got a much more predictable, easier to control car at the limit. So the FDC actually became this amazing drift platform despite this bit of advanced engineering, not really because of it. It's kind of ironic.
That really drives home the paradox. A feature designed for grip made it unpredictable, so removing it helped it find its niche. Okay, so the car evolved too. Series 4 versus Series 5. What are the key things you need to know?
Right, so the S4 ran from 86 to 88, S5 from 89 to 92. The S5 got some nice updates, a bit more power. The Turbo 2 model went up to 200 horsepower, which is pretty good then. And you get those iconic round taillights on the S5. Everyone loves those.
The bubble lights, yeah.
Exactly. But, and this is important if you're looking at one today, there were trade-offs. The S5 used an electronic oil metering pump, the OMP. It's more complex than the S4's mechanical pump, and, well, it's another potential failure point. The S4's is generally seen as more robust.
Okay.
Another thing, the S5 front lower control arms had ball joints that were built in, non-replaceable. So if one wore out, you needed a whole new arm. The S4 had serviceable ball joints, much cheaper to fix. So, it's a choice. S5 looks and slight power bump versus potentially simpler, more robust S4 mechanicals.
Right, a nuanced decision for collectors. And speaking of mechanicals, we have to talk about the heart of the beast, that 13B rotary engine. Compact, loves to rev. But what's the one thing everyone must know about rotary maintenance?
Oil. Simple as that. You absolutely have to understand that the rotary engine consumes oil by design. It's not necessarily a fault. That oil metering pump we mentioned injects small amounts of oil directly into the housings to lubricate the apex seals. Those seals are critical.
So you need to top it off regularly.
Constantly. Best practice is honestly check it every time you fill up with fuel. Seriously. If you let it run low, you risk damaging those seals, and then you're looking at an engine rebuild. And that's not cheap think. $4,000, maybe $5,500, depending. So, yeah, preventative maintenance, keeping that oil level correct is just non-negotiable for keeping a rotary happy.
Good advice. Okay, beyond the metal, the FTC has this huge cultural footprint, largely thanks to Initial D, right? Ryosuke Takahashi's White Comet of Akagi.
Oh, undeniably. Initial D was massive.
Yeah.
It portrayed the FC not just as fast, but as, the smart choice. Precise, strategic, the thinking man sports car, as you said earlier. That image, broadcast globally through the anime and manga, massively boosted the car's desirability. Suddenly, everyone knew the White Comet.
And it wasn't just fiction driving it, was it? It had real roots in drifting culture, too.
Absolutely. Even before Initial D blew up, the FC was a staple in early Japanese grassroots drifting. That 50.50 weight balance, the fact that they were becoming more affordable, used cars, rear-wheel drive, tunable rotary, it was kind of a perfect storm for drifting. So it's this cool feedback loop. Real car culture inspires the media, and the media amplifies that culture globally.
A really symbiotic relationship. So wrapping this up, the Mazda RX-7 FC3S, it's a car full of these fascinating contrasts, isn't it? Designed as one thing, celebrated as another.
Exactly. Built to be a refined Porsche fighting GT, but ultimately found its legend on mountain passes and drift circuits, often after enthusiasts modified or even removed some of its clever engineering. Leaves you thinking, doesn't it? How often does a vehicle's original design intention end up diverging so much from what makes it truly loved and legendary in the real world? What does that tell us about innovation versus, grassroots adaptation?